Hello, my name is Rhianna Madden-Hansel and I'm 23 years old. I'm currently completing my final year of medical school, training to become a doctor at Basildon Hospital, which interestingly is only 30 minutes drive from Tilbury, where Empire Windrush docked back in 1948. Both sets of my grandparents are part of the Windrush generation. They all travelled over to England from Jamaica and eventually settled in Birmingham. My earliest grandparent to arrive was my maternal grandmother, who travelled by boat in 1953. Her boat docked in Southampton, where she then travelled on to Birmingham. My granddad arrived shortly after in 1955 by plane. They met each other in Birmingham and went on to have 7 children, my mum being the 5th one. They both worked really hard to provide for their family. My grandma's first job was to make masks for people who worked in dusty conditions to protect them from the harmful particles, a valuable skill to this day given the current pandemic. My grandma is now 82 and my granddad 92. They are both retired but still living in Birmingham. My paternal grandparents made similar trips. My dad's mum came over in the 60s by plane to join her mum who had arrived 2 years beforehand. Shortly after arriving, my grandma trained to become a nurse. It's nice to compare our experiences of working in the NHS. It's funny how some aspects of our training are so similar despite the years between us. We tell the same story of our first evening in hospital accommodation, bleaching down the sink in the corner of our room. We both have patients who have made us cry, laugh, and those who we thought of long after they've been discharged. It's upsetting to hear some of the racist comments that were made to my grandma during her years in the NHS, but it's amazing that it didn't dampen her kind and caring nature. From speaking to my grandparents, it's clear how much they and other members of the Windrush generation contributed to rebuilding England after the war, and they did so despite the hostility that they faced. I think more should be done to teach people about Black British history. Including it in the national history curriculum within schools would be a perfect place to start. I don't think it should be reduced to 1 or 2 assemblies during Black History Month, as it so commonly is. My message to the Prime Minister would be to work with and fund grassroots organisations that actively try to create safer and anti-racist spaces for people of colour. I think workshops that teach people about covert and overt racism, microaggressions, and how to be an active bystander should an issue arise are particularly useful. Change won't happen unless people see and understand that there's a problem in the first place.